What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of iMythology, the show where we get higher than the Acropolis overlooking Athens and tell you guys stories from mythology and folklore. Tonight, we will be continuing our O.G.s of Greece series with the Story of Theseus.
God, can you tell he's excited?
I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
This is your dude. You love him.
I've always liked Theseus because of the Minotaur stuff. But researching this, I found out that he went way further than the Minotaur. His story is actually pretty epic. And I also didn't know, which we'll get into in the story, that him and Hercules were pretty intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be some pretty fun stuff. So without further ado, Kimbo, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So our story picks up a few generations after Perseus took the head of the Gorgon Medusa in the city of Athens. The king at this time was O.G.s, and he had many wives.
Many wives.
And
he was slinging dick all over Athens.
Dude, he had so many, not even just wives, like fucking whores and everything.
Concubines.
All sorts of women.
Ladies, ladyboys.
But all he had were daughters. None would give him a son. And as most did in his days, he traveled to go see Pythia, the oracle of Delphi. And you know how he got there? He sailed all the way around Greece instead of just walking across the banditized fucking mountain range.
Yeah, back in those days, you had to sail. So if you look at his journey on that, like, peninsula, I guess you would consider it, of Greece, right?
Yeah.
He literally goes from the northeast all the way down around the peninsula to the southwest.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been like 50 miles across land.
Yeah. Nah, he decided to go like 120 miles across the sea.
Across the sea.
When he came to her, she did as she always does and gave him a riddle of prophecy. She went something like this.
Open your sack before you return to Athens and let it be filled with wine.
Okay, upon hearing this, he left her confused and frustrated with no clue what to do.
Open my sack?
So on his way back home, he stopped by his friend's house, King Pythias of Torazin. And he told Pythias of his strange message from the oracle that he didn't understand. Pythias, however, understood at once. He didn't tell this to O.G.s, though, so instead he just kept bringing on the wine until his royal guest was tanked. Then, once he had a nice and toasty, he sent him to bed with his daughter Aretha. And the two of them got it on. And immediately after O.G.s fell asleep, shortly after...
That's good. You need any campfire or anything? Are you good? You're good. I'm good.
Shortly after that, Athrea was visited by Athena, who told her, "Go to the water and make an offering to the gods. Then your child shall be blessed by them." And so she snuck out and crept down the coast. Once she got there, she waded out into the water and offered herself to the gods. It is said that Poseidon, the god of the sea, had heard her, and he came and had a spout of water taken at her.
Yeah, he fucked her as a spout of water. Is basically what Some say he actually came as a man, but a lot of them I can't just say.
He's just a little water drop. Yeah. He just got in there and left a seed inside of her.
He basically was the first shower jet.
Love those. You say yuck, but I love those. Even more gross, his divine seed combined with the seed of O.G.s to produce a son. Now here's where the couple different variations come in. Option A was that he heard about the water sprout action and was upset, reasonably. And option B was that he just did it because he was a kind guy. I mean, Greek kings were some weird dudes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at a lot of the Greek kings, they would pull weird shit like that. If you want to go to my castle, you must first bring me the feathers of a golden goose.
I know, right?
Like, oh, you're a Greek king, aren't you?
I want the spit of a bird.
Yeah, what do you want? I want the sound that a cat makes when it walks. What the fuck?
Either way, he told Aretha not to tell the boy or anyone else of his royal lineage. Then he placed it into a hollow hole.
Hollow hole.
His sword and a pair of sandals, and then covered it with a big ass rock. So the sword and the sandals were his, and so he would recognize the son. Anyway.
Yeah.
So then he told her that before his son can come to claim his rightful place in Athens, he must move the rock and then recover the sword and sandals.
Yeah. He didn't leave him any pants, though, which becomes relevant later on.
Time passes, and Aretha gives birth to a healthy boy, and the boy's name was Theseus. He was raised by his mother and his grandfather, and they taught him kindness, strength, and heroism. And as he grew, so did his lack of fear that they would become known for. Everything grew except for his penis.
Yeah, that's it. That didn't really grow.
When he was just a young boy, a teenage Hercules came to visit Pythias, and Theseus was instantly enamored with his cousin,
Mm-hmm.
who, even though he was still young, he was still known for his feats of heroism. Heroism. It is said that when Hercules showed up, he draped his lion cloak over a chair. And all the children Theseus's ages was afraid to even go into the same room as it, thinking it was a real lion. But not Theseus, though. He snatched up a meat knife and went to town stabbing the lion's skin. Pythias feared Hercules would take offense. However, he did just the opposite, declaring that Theseus would one day be a great hero, and the two of them would share in many adventures, which they did.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing there, too, is, and we'll get into it in the Hercules story, but Pythias was kind of right to be afraid, because Hercules, as cool as he was also a real gamble. Like, you never knew what he was going to do. It's like, he might be okay with it. Or he might tear my arms off and beat me to death with them. I don't fucking know. He's crazy.
I seriously thought it said his loincloth. I was like, everyone was scared of the loincloth hanging on the chair.
He's got a big-ass loincloth.
I'm going to stab the shit out of it.
Stab it right in the dick.
Like, oh God, what's happening here? Okay, so anyway, Hercules departed, but his words would go on to be the great motivator for Theseus. A few years later, after a beefed-out 16-year-old Theseus took on the challenge of his father, he easily lifted the rock and threw it aside, and then grabbed the sandals and sword. Now he was free to go to Athens to claim his birthright. One simple ship ride away from being royalty, so his mother ordered him a ship, but Theseus would not have none of that, so he decided instead to do something no man had ever accomplished, to walk to Athens. He said,
"Were I to take a boat, I would arrive in Athens still a boy, claiming to be a prince. Let me instead forego the bitch shit and set out by foot, so I arrive a hero and a prince."
So you didn't mention at all that the sandals and the sword were the only way that his father was going to recognize him. And that's what he told
Oh, I guess I didn't.
Mom.
I didn't mention. But
So,
it
yeah.
is the father's sandal. And he puts on his father's sandals and he takes his sword.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to me from the pictures like that's all he took with him.
I thought he had a helmet.
He had a helmet sometimes.
And a cloak, but it was fucking dick out
he had
all
a
the way.
cloak draped over his arm.
So it looked more like a fucking shoulder patch.
Yeah, shoulder patch.
So he sets off on his first of many perilous quests to conquer the untamed lands of Greece. During this time period, there were no real roads, and worse, the wilds were fraught with creatures, bandits, and a host of fucked up characters waiting to ambush any wary traveler. Sadly for them, Theseus was no wary traveler. He killed wolves and the bandits alike, even once slaying a giant boar. Then he set his gaze upon Greece's most wanted, aiming to bestow on them the same punishment they had dealt to travelers. According to the poetry, he did it all in only his sandals. # dicks out till Athens.
Dicks out to Lathans.
So the first he came out across was Periphetes. Periphetes.
Paraphetes. A Paraphetes. Oh, wait, where is it? Where is it? Oh, wrong button because I'm late.
Nice. A man who wielded a giant club that he used to kill people on the road. Theseus fought him and in the midst of the battle took the club and used it to kill him, thus ending his reign of terror.
We'll drop one more for that.
That one was for you, really.
Yeah.
Next, he came on to Sirion?
Sirion,
that's it. A man who would kidnap travelers and make them wash his feet. Once his toesies were all clean, he would kick them off the cliff into the sea. Theseus found him, slammed the motherfucker off the cliff, and then onto the jagged rocks below. Hashtags dick still out.
Yep, he's still just rocking it. He's still just rocking out with his cock out.
Jesus.
And it's funny too because there's like literally all of these, the paintings, everything. He's just got his sandals on. Occasionally, like Kim mentioned, occasionally he'll have a helmet. But most of the time he's just standing there like, come on, bro, what's up?
How are you intimidated by that little thing?
I got my father's sandals and this tiny dick and I'm ready to fight. It's like all foreskin.
That reminds me of like the baseball game where the guy ran streaking through the field and everyone was like, nope, not touching that.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, it's all foreskin. Look at the paintings.
Okay, after that was a fighter called Cercyon. Yeah, Cercyon. He would challenge any who passed him in a fight with no weapons or pants. And he was a powerful fighter, and all those who faced him were beat to death.
Yeah. It's like coming down the road and finding yourself face to face with a naked Brock Lesnar. Who's like, fight me, bro! Fight me! 1-on-1!
That is...
Yeah.
For those who don't know Brock Lesnar, I guess you can use John Cena as
John Cena.
Another
you could
example.
use any big giant person. The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock just standing there, just swinging pendulum.
Theseus gladly accepted the challenge, and Cercyon was a strong fighter and an excellent striker. So Theseus had to reinvent the game. He grabbed onto Cercyon's hip, tossed him onto the ground, and then pulled off a naked choke. He choked Cercyon to death, and thus the
Greco-Roman wrestling was born. Yeah. Also, that was that was the OG Greco-Roman wrestling. That was where Pancratia. He was said to be the first. Which Pancratia is, basically wrestling. Lots of slams and chokes and shit like that. Lots of dicks flopping around.
All right. So next on his hit list came the wicked Sinus. Sinus. He would capture people and then tie both sides of them and pull down a tree.
Yeah. So he would take 2 pine trees, stretch them down, basically so that they're full tension, tie them down, and then tie the 2 sides of a person to the fucking trees, and then he would release them and let the trees rip them in half horizontally.
Oh, naked ass Theseus came and strapped him up to it, returning the punishment that he had visited on others.
Yep.
And I'm sure that man was naked too, so his dick probably flung off somewhere.
Oh, yeah, his dick just
his
flying
balls
into
went
the woods.
one way, his dick went the other. Till it hit somebody in the forehead.
What the fuck was that? I just saved your life.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
His next and final conquest was the man regarded as the evilest man in Greece, Procrustes.
Yeah, Procrustes.
I'm thinking that weird-ass clown from the film.
Yeah.
Procrustes was truly a Dahmer.
Yep.
And
a Dahmer level of fucked up.
He would catch anyone traveling and bring them back to his house of horrors. There, he had an iron bed that he would strap his victims to the bed and make them fit If they were too tall, he would cut off whatever was hanging over. If they were too short, he would stretch them out until they fit. Either way, they would stay strapped there until they died.
Yeah.
Theseus showed up, dick out, and was having none of this shit. So he beat up Procrustes, and ruthlessly, by the way, and then he threw him onto the iron bed. The story argues over whether it was stretching out or cutting that he did. But I like to think that he just fucked with him, and he was too short and got cut.
just to fuck with this whole method, put him on the bed, and he's too short. Procrustes is like, no, now you're going to stretch me. And he's like, no, I'm going to cut you, fucker.
Fuck it.
Fuck your whole system.
Right in half.
Yeah. Oh.
With that, Theseus finally felt himself enough of a hero to go meet his old man and arrived in Athens. Dick out still.
Yeah.
He was right, and he had become enough of a hero. Word of his deeds had traveled all the way to the ears of his father, and his father, though not knowing it was his son, was not excited, but worried. He feared that the young hero had come for his crown, and the idea was put into his head by the sorceress Medea, who knew very well who Theseus was. Together they decided to invite Theseus to a banquet and poison his wine. Theseus accepted the invitation gladly, seeing how his goal was to meet his father. It made sense. So at the banquet, they gave him the poisoned glass of wine, but before he drank, he pulled out his father's sword to show who he was. His father flipped out. He jumped up and he slapped that wine from Theseus's hand. Medea realizes, and she's like, shit. So she takes off in her flying chariot to head back to the Black Sea, where we will catch up to her story in the future. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to take a hit of this weed real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, Medea's a pretty crazy one. Yeah. We'll cover her.
She's awesome. It's fucking dope. We'll get into this later. I like her story.
And already, too, I like how
good.
she makes the entrance in Theseus' story already just randomly being there and then taking off in a flying fucking chariot.
Yeah,
just out of nowhere. Dope. She's like, peace, bitches. They don't even say anything about it being horse-drawn either. It's just a chariot that fucking flies.
Yeah. Invisible horses like Harry Potter.
Yeah, wings. I think it has wings.
His father, O.G.s, rejoiced, finding his long-lost son, and not poisoning him in the same day. What a day. Yeah. What a twist.
What a twist. Ooh, man, not only did I meet a son, but I managed not to poison this one. Not like the last three.
Theseus was taken in and given the title Prince of Attica. Is this before Attica became Athens? When the Greeks decided to...
Oh, no. So, Athens was the capital of Attica.
Okay.
Attica was basically the whole tip.
Region.
The whole tip of Greece, where that first tip comes down. That was Attica.
Okay. And he got the fucking title, and then he got the whole fucking royal package, everything. Mm-hmm. So his joy was short-lived, though. Athens was a city that lived in the constant sorrow for the death that they owed to King Minos of Crete. Years ago, Minos had sent his son to Athens as a sign of good faith. O.G.s, who was a young king at that time, sent Minos a son. What?
I'm
sorry, I lost myself, guys. Hang on. So, O.G.s, who was a young king at the time, sent Minos' son on a dangerous mission.
Yeah, because Minos sent his son to Athens. Sorry. Minos sent his son to Athens, and O.G.s, being kind of a young and cocky king, and like that, like I said, a weird king of Greece, told him to,
Go do this.
If you want to sleep in my court, you must go get a royal bull. Yes.
Okay. So the mission was to kill a large raging bull that was tearing up the countryside. Androgynous. Yeah.
Androgynous.
Sorry.
Like that.
Accepted and set out, but was killed by the bull.
Yeah.
Minos was furious, so he stormed Athens and took the city. Then he demanded repayment for their sin. Every year they must send 7 boys and 7 girls to be the feast for the mighty Minotaur.
Mm-hmm. Some say it was every 9 years. But the 9 years didn't make as much sense to me because of the time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like it was only going on for like 5 years and was already a big deal.
I mean,
so if it was every 9 years, they would have only sent one batch, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, if he was young then and now he's old, this has been going on for like 50 years.
It could have been. It could have been going on for a while.
Anyway, so now is where we jump into a little bit of a breakdown. The Minotaur. That was good weed.
The Minotaur? That's some good shit. That's what the Minotaur is.
The Minotaur was a huge half-bull, half-man creature. He came about when Minos was given a glorious bull by the god Poseidon to sacrifice. It was a albino one, by the way.
White bull.
Those are super rare and like super used in a lot of good sac. Anyway, Minos, however, decided not to sacrifice the bull, but instead keep it as a pet because it was so pretty. This angered Poseidon, so he made Minos' wife, Pasiphae, fall madly in love with the bull. The two got it on. 9 months later, the Minotaur was born. Minos knew he should kill the monstrosity, but looking at the baby, he could not do it. So he called the great inventor
Daedalus.
Daedalus, truly.
Daedalus, I think it is.
Daedalus. Okay, truly was the greatest inventor of the land had ever seen. He was the son of Athena, who granted him the gift of knowledge, which he put to use in many ways. He made the dance hall of Adriane, as well as the cow suit that was used by Pasiphae for the Labarynth. It was pretty much like a little mini Thor or Trojan horse.
Yeah, it was a little mini Trojan horse.
It looked like an actual cow, I guess, so that the bull would mount her.
Yeah, and it had a little back door hole.
Yeah,
little cooter hole.
Fucking weird.
Yeah.
They even describe that in that one story.
Yeah, they go
Jesus
pretty
Christ.
in depth. I didn't want to go super in depth with it, but
we had no idea at first, like how. Yeah. We're like, okay.
I was like, oh, she just slept.
Then
with
they
the bull?
fucking put that imagination into our faces, and we were like, what the fuck?
Poor Daedalus, too. The whole time, I imagine he's making it.
I feel bad for Pasiphae to be fucking made to feel this way.
Yeah.
Jesus, Poseidon, that's fucked up.
It does have to be really weird, though, for Daedalus with this, over there just making it and thinking, like, I invented so many cool things before I left Athens.
Yeah, so anyway, he made all kinds of world inventions, like the compass, but his two most famous, by far, were the wings made of wax and feathers that they could use to fly, and the Labarynth. Shout out to Bowie.
Yeah, Bowie!
Yeah, he made the
Labyrinth's like a motherfucker.
The Minotaur Labarynth, and then when King Minos found out, he had him stay inside as well, and put his okay, sorry. So back to Minos and his bull baby scenario. Minos, realizing that he can't just let the Minotaur roam free, met with Daedalus to ask him to consent to construct a place to hold his new stepson. So Daedalus set to the task, bringing him with his son Icarus. They worked hard and long until finally they were done. Daedalus had built an unescapable maze, and no matter which way you would turn, you just go deeper into the maze. When they were done, Minos locked them up inside so that none would know how to escape. Daedalus was pissed, but not fucked. After a long time stuck in his own labyrinth, he made 2 pairs of wax wings. Before they set out, Daedalus warned his son Icarus not to fly too close to the sun.
Don't fly too close to the sun,
They took
Icarus.
off out through the hole in the top, and once they were out, however, Icarus lost himself in the joy of flight and flew too high. His wings melted and he fell to the ground, dying.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Also, O.G.s found out about the fucking Minotaur thing for his wife and how the Minotaur He found out about.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is.
And that was another reason why he locked him up.
Why he locked him up. He didn't want anyone to know. So you built what for my wife to do what? Yeah, dude, she's weird.
I mean, I can't have her into this kind of shit. So.
I mean, I don't know what you want to do about this. I just thought that I should bring it up. I'm not afraid to talk about this. You're not afraid to talk about this?
If she wanted another one, I already destroyed the other one, but if she wanted another one, he was the only one who knew how to make it, so.
She wanted one with 2 holes.
Oh,
I think she's going to get into some weird stuff next time.
Sick. Anyway, alrighty. So back to Athens. Theseus, hearing of this horrible situations that Athens was stuck in, volunteered to go and slay the Minotaur. His newfound papa begged him not to go, but he wasn't about to be talked down. Realizing this, O.G.s asked his son to raise a white sail upon the return so that he would be known that his son was still alive. Theseus agreed and set out to Crete. When they arrived on Crete, a group of spectators waited to see the Minotaur's prey. Among those waiting were the daughters of Minos, the beautiful princess Ariadne. Ariadne, that's right. Yeah. She saw Theseus and instantly
Ariana
fell.
Grande.
That's exactly what I thought.
That's how I kept remembering it. I'm like, it's just Ariana Grande combined into one word, lazily. Ariadne Grande?
She saw Theseus and instantly fell in love. She found a way to talk to him alone. And her love was
reciprocated.
I'm sorry, I can't read that.
Reciprocate. You reciprocate.
Daedalus. Oh shit, I'm looking at the wrong word. I'm sorry. She became enamored with the idea of saving Theseus and went to the only man who knew how to escape, Daedalus. So Daedalus told her that the secret was to return in exactly the same way he came in. Some even say walking backwards.
Yeah.
This new information and a little ingenuity. Sorry, I'm terrible reading. She came back to Theseus. She gave him a large ball of thread and told him to gradually unwind it as he went. He gave her his love and told her that she would be his wife back in Athens.
You will be my wife when we return to my city.
Nice. Theseus went in, and as he went, he gradually unrolled the string. As he crept, he could hear the snores of the Minotaur, and eventually he found the beast asleep, and he leapt on its back, dick still out, and the two of them took a fight. The fight was long and hard.
That's not the only thing that was long and hard.
Yeah, the Minotaur was dicks out,
The Minotaur's dick's out, too. Yeah, we're not talking about Theseus. He's still 90% foreskin.
And he definitely had the bull parts down below from the depiction of the fucking pottery.
Yeah.
The fight was long and hard, but in the end, Theseus got the upper hand. He used his godly strength to pommel the Minotaur to his knees, and then grabbing it by its horn, he tore off its head. Some stories say that they gave him a club, but either way, ouch. With the beast dead, he took the head and followed with the string back. Once he was back to the entrance, they made for the boats with Ariadne by his side. They set sail for Athens. Their voyage would not go as easily as they hoped for. Also, you didn't mention that he was supposed to raise a black sail to let his father know that he died.
I think I had something up there about his father telling him to raise the sail.
You just said a white sail.
Yeah, he told him to raise the white sail.
And the black sail to let him know he died.
Well, the black sail was the typical sign of death.
Well, that was always his fucking flag, though.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry. So their voyage would not go as easily as they hoped. From the get-go, Athena, Dionysus, and Poseidon were not in favor of this little love affair with Ariadne.
Grande.
Ariadne was already promised to Dionysus. Not that she was made aware of this, though, so he wasn't about to let his bride run off to live in Athens. So the gods made her get seasick, to the point that they had to stop. And then they set up on the island of Naxos.
Yeah.
And then once she was off the ship, Poseidon created a storm to push them out to sea and away from the island. Once they were out of sea, Theseus tried to get back, but he was stopped by Athena, who told him that as future king of Athens, he must forego his bride. Or he just bounced while she was asleep. Depends on the myth.
Yeah, it's a very big variation between like the two distinct different versions where it's like he was forced away from his love and had to make this tough decision, or they stopped off on the island and once his girlfriend fell asleep, he snuck back to the boats and bounced.
Either way, they were forced to go on without her, and Theseus was stricken with her with grief. Once they were out at sea, Dionysus came to console Ariadne, and with some wine, too. And the wine made her forget Theseus, and she married Dionysus.
Check out this wine. Have a little sip. It's called the wine of forgetfulness. In other words, normal wine.
Wow.
He got me with this magic wine. What was magic about it? It was like 20%. I was fucked up like 2 glasses in.
Oh, all right. Theseus sailed back to Athens full of grief, so full of grief, that he forgot all about his promise to his father. Every morning, O.G.s would go out to the Acropolis overlooking the sea to wait for the ships to return. On that lucky morning, he looked out and saw the ship. The black sail was risen. Black sail is a sign of mourning, and to O.G.s, the sign was that his son was dead. Seeing the black sail, he threw himself off the cliff and into the sea, and the sea had since forever been named the Aegean Sea.
The Aegean Sea. I still like to imagine he had that goofy king about him when he did it. Mm-hmm. Oh, with the black sail, I am stricken with grief. What should I do? Should I round up 100 chickens or jump off the cliff?
You sound like Goofy.
Yeah, I picture him as a very cartoony king. That just seems like his mentality.
Let's see. Theseus returned to the city, but it was sad and an awkward greeting. He immediately learned that his father was dead, and of the reason. Ooh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Fuck. I was supposed to raise the white sail, wasn't I? My bad. My bad, everybody.
Just got my father back. Yeah. I only knew him for like 3 days.
I was grief-stricken because I just came up with a really elaborate excuse to bail on this chick.
How do I run a fucking country?
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. They then explained to him that he was now the king of Athens and of all of Attica. Theseus would turn out to be the best leader Athens had ever seen. A real for-the-people guy.
Yeah.
His first move was to announce to all of Athens that he had no desire to be their leader. So he got rid of the monarchy.
Monarchy.
And
The monarchy.
Instated a commonwealth democracy run by the people. He was instead the role of commander-in-chief, which seems more like back when there was an actual military role.
It was an actual military role, yeah. It wasn't like you're an old white guy walking around on TV. Mm-hmm, right. Kind of like it is now. Like back then it was like the Congress, Senate, all those people, representatives from the Commonwealth did all the lawmaking. As commander-in-chief, you just protected the country.
Mm-hmm. The following years in Athens were some of the best. The people were happy and prosperous, and Theseus continued to be the shining example of heroism. His fame spread so far that he was asked for help in the War of the Seven. The War of the Seven against Thebes, and strictly based on his hatred for evil. A story we will conquer for another time. Yeah. But I need to sneeze.
That was kind of a cool one too. We'll get into the full Seven against Thebes story in the future, but it was kind of a cool little plot point for him because he had no give a fuck at all about that war. But the king of Thebes, decided to be a dick. And I think it was because he refused burial for someone and said that their body had to just rot on the battlefield to be eaten by the dogs.
That's ridiculous.
And because it's a super dick move, Theseus was like, "No, motherfucker, yeah, you're about to get your ass kicked."
He was the only person willing to take in the blind and the feeble.
Oedipus
At the end of his life, even being with him when he died.
Yep. Because
who the fuck is Oedipus?
Oedipus is, we'll get into his full story in the future too. He ties into the Seven against Thebes, but Oedipus was the man who was cursed to murder his father and marry his mother.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
get into that full story in the future. It is, in my opinion, the most fucked up story in all of Greek mythology. Yeah. But I mean, Leda and the Swan was pretty bad, but
this one's fucking way
I
worse.
feel like Oedipus is because that poor guy.
For real.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Carrying on.
So even when Theseus's cousin was down and out, he showed up to lend a helping hand and a shoulder to cry on. Tune in next week for that story.
Yeah.
In another story, he went to Themyscira, the land of the Amazons.
Wonder Woman!
With his cousin Hercules. They both have their own reasons for going, but regardless, Theseus returned with Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, and the two had a thing, and Hippolyta bore him a son named Hippolytus. Shortly after the birth of their son, they found themselves besieged. The Amazons had come for their queen, and they made it all the way to the city of Athens before Hippolyta decided to go back. After that, no army would make its way to the shores of Attica for as long as Theseus lived. Theseus would continue to go on many other adventures while still in his youth. Two that we will cover later in the series are the hunt for the Caledonian boar and the quest for the Golden Fleece. Along with his travels, he would end up making good friends with Pirithous.
Yeah.
And he would end up saving Pirithous' ass many times over in their travels. Pirithous first met Theseus because he thought the legends were a lie, so he went to Attica and stole Theseus' cattle. When he was caught and when they questioned him, he said that he would only answer to Theseus. Theseus heard of this and was pissed, so he showed up in a full-ass whipping mode, and once Pirithous was awestruck, he fell to his knees and over to full allegiance to Theseus. Theseus was amused by this and decided to let Pirithous travel by his side, sounding like this.
Rise, Brohim. All I want is for you to be my friend and my brother in arms. Let us go and travel about the land, feeling the wind on our shafts.
Sorry that I keep walking into your fucking microphone. Pirithous at first was a really good ally to Theseus, being the king of Lapita. Not only a strong military advantage for Athens, but a friendly place for Theseus to party.
Party palace!
On such an event, Theseus was to be married, and his new wife just so happened to be related to a centaur. And a bunch of them showed up to the reception party, but it wasn't a problem at first. But once the centaurs got the booze up in them, they started to cause ruckus, and one of them tried to run off with the bride. Theseus jumped up and pushed it down, and afterwards the great battle went down between the centaurs and the people. They vanquished the centaurs, but in all the chaos, Theseus' bride was killed. Thus began what I call the Centaur Crusades.
Yeah.
Small war where Theseus and Pirithous, along with the probability of Hercules, pushed the centaurs out of Greece, or at least most of them. If you were sitting there like the centaurs don't know. The Greek centaurs were super rapey.
Yeah, they were very rapey. That's like all they did.
Yeah.
That's why the beginning of it, when they're like centaurs at a wedding party, like, ew, it's already going to go wrong. Those centaurs are going to get drunk. And they're going to get handsy.
It's going to be gross.
Yeah. There's going to be some horse gongs flopping around.
So after the whole Centaur Crusade, Pirithous found himself in need of a new bride. So he asked his good buddy Theseus to be his chaperone on the quest for love.
Oh, the quest for love!
Sounds easy, right? But not so much. This quest would lead Theseus to places he would never dreamed of seeing. I don't know why I have such a hard time looking at his name. Pirithous.
Yeah. He's a picky motherfucker.
His first name was a child named Helen.
Yeah.
The most well-guarded woman in the world. So he set out. Somehow they managed to snag the girl, even with her brothers Castor and Pollux watching.
And this is the same Helen
of Troy,
who later grows up to become Helen of Troy. Yeah, he tries to snatch a baby Helen, basically. Or like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old.
Fucking rapist.
Yeah.
So Castor and Pollux, we talked about briefly, our Lita in the Swan episode. The important thing is that they were bad motherfuckers. One of them, probably invincible, although they had captured the girl. The fight was far from over. Helen's brothers came at them in full force. And when they caught up to Theseus, made his friend return over Helen. And they were let go, presumably because of their history with their brothers. But after that...
Yeah, that's something we'll talk about in the future also, is their history together. Because they took part in some other quests.
Mm-hmm. After that, Pirithous was done being a creeper, and he just gave up on finding a wife. Just kidding. That motherfucker doubled down. He decided that he would even have to take the wife of Hades for Stephanie, regardless of what she or anyone else had to say about it, even knowing that it was madness and wrong. He still stood by his friend. His loyalty, its own form of curse. So he went with Pirithous. And not much is known about the journey, but it is assumed that Hades, aware of their plan, allowed them to pass freely into the underworld, and once in his court, they were greeted and told to have a seat, an offer they could not refuse. So Hades did not wish to kill them, but he had no need to, for instead of chairs they sat down would be their prison, the chair of forgetfulness. They basically just sat there, brain dead, no memory of who they were or who they once were or where they were going.
The chair basically just lobotomizes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you sit down, and the second you sit down, you just bet. Yeah.
They sat there for weeks until, by what happenstances, Hercules was passing through the underworld. He managed to free his cousin Theseus because his only crime was loyalty. But no matter how hard they tried, they could not free Pirithous. His crimes were too great, so there he sits for eternity. Serves him fucking right.
I like to imagine Hades sitting right there too. Because they're still in the throne room, and Hades just sitting right there watching them. And they're like, why can't we get him out? And Hades just has his middle finger raised. Like, right here, buddy. Right here. That guy tried to fuck my wife. You think I'm letting him go? No. Yeah.
In the later years of his life, he would finally settle down somewhat. He married Phaedra. Who was the sister of his former lover, Ariadne.
Uh-huh.
So the second daughter
of Crete.
Minos.
Yeah.
Their marriage would lead to the next great tragedy of his life.
I do think that's the common thing too that still carries over in life. Like I don't know why, but my dad just hates him so much, and that makes him so fucking attractive to me.
All right, so. See, his son Hippolytus was sent off when he was young to live in the same place Theseus had grown up. So this did him well. He grew up to be a strong young man, and he loved hunting in the wild more than anything else in the world. Because of this, he favored the goddess Artemis. I'm talking about Hippolytus. Sorry, that made it sound really weird. He saw to him that is okay. Sorry. He loved hunting in the wild more than anything. He loved Artemis, everything else. Okay, so when pressed about finding a wife, he would scorn the idea. He was actually the only man that I have read about who was allowed to hunt with the daughters of Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this was made Aphrodite feel scorned, not understanding how such an attractive man could go without a wife.
Yeah. There was a lot of people who were missing out on one really big thing. One thing that seemed super obvious about him.
When Theseus met his son as a man, they instantly formed a bond, and as for his new stepmom, he paid her no mind. She, however, due to some clever trickery by Aphrodite's, was made to fall madly in love with him, and she was overcome with grief and rage for the feeling that she now had. Unable to cope with her feelings, she resigned to kill herself. Her maid caught wind of what she was doing, set out to stop her. And one day, when Theseus was out, the maid approached Hippolytus. Dude, she's like literally dying for you. Like, give her some love and give her life. Don't be a dick and like go bang your stepmom. Sorry. Did you remember that?
No, that was perfect. That was so good.
So Hippolytus pulled away from her with disgust. Any woman would have been no big for him, but his stepmom, yuck, again. He rushed out of the courtyard to escape the yuck, and the maid followed, continuing to harass him, unaware that Phaedra was sitting in the courtyard, growing tired of it.
Oh, you forgot the period there.
Oh, sorry. She was growing tired of it, or he was growing tired of it, and he turned to respond. Sorry.
You pitiable wretch. Trying to make me betray my frickin' father? I mean, fucking yuck. That's my fucking stepmom. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Women? Oh, women. Vile women, every one of them vile. I will never enter this house again, except for when my father's in it, you skank.
And with that, he flung away the maid and rushed out of the courtyard. The maid turned to see Phaedra waiting with a scowl on her face. I can, totally fix this. It's gonna be, totally okay. Okay.
You go ahead and hush, okay? You just hush your little stupid mouth up. I will settle my own affairs.
With that, Phaedra took off back to her room, and a few minutes later, Theseus returned only to be met with the saddest revelation. Yeah, his wife had just committed suicide, and in her hands was a letter addressed to her love. Theseus rushed to his wife's side and found her body and the letter.
Oh, dearest and best, are your last desires written here? This is your seal, yours, who'll nevermore smile upon me. This letter cries aloud. These words speak. They have a tongue. Know all of you that my son laid violent hands upon my wife. O Poseidon, God, hear me. I curse him and fulfill my curse, for he hath fucked my wife.
Huh? I know, I was waiting. It says a long and awkward silence. I'm sorry.
Nice. That was a very awkward silence because I didn't know what you were doing.
And then the silence was shattered by the sound of an approaching footsteps. Hippolytus rushed into the room to see what the commotion was.
What happened, Dad? How did she die? Tell me, don't hide your grief from me. We can totally share our feelings with each other. We're, close like that.
We're so close.
We're so close.
So Theseus, completely oblivious to the obvious, yelled back at his son.
There ought to be a true yardstick to measure affection by.
Oh, talk about going out and getting a switch, huh?
Some means to show who is to be trusted and who is not. Look at you, my son, proved base by the hand of her who is dead. He offered her violence. Her letter outweighs any words he could speak. Go, you are an exile from this land. Go to your ruin at once. Father, I got, nothing can back me up here. All I can do is swear by Zeus above that I'd, never touched your wife or any woman. Didn't we talk about this? I swear we had a talk, 2 weeks ago, and I totally explained this to you. I'm not into women? If I'm lying, may I die in wretchedness if I am guilty?
So, Hippolytus begged and pleaded for his father to see reason and realized he wasn't going, into girls. But it was no use. Theseus sent his son into exile, one that would be short-lived. On his way out of town, he was set upon by a large sea serpent sent by Poseidon. The monster strikes, destroying Hippolytus' chariot and mortally wounding him, like a monster tying up loose ends. As he was wounded, Artemis showed up and scolded Theseus for his actions. I didn't come here to help you, asshole. I came here to let you know that your son was innocent. It was your wife who lusted after him. Bitch. That's why she offered herself, because she couldn't get that Hippolytodon. All right?
All right.
As Theseus listened, a look of horror came across his face, and his wounded son was rushed in. I felt like she would be pissed,
Yeah, she totally would be.
So Hippolytus says,
Oh, I was totally innocent. Artemis, my goddess, your huntsman is dying. Can you do something? Pretty please?
It just says Artemis.
Artemis. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Hippolytus is...
where is it?
And no other can take your place, dearest of men to me. Hippolytus turned his gaze from his goddess to his father.
Papa? Papa? Am I dying? Yes, you are. You are dying. If only I could die for you. Or they could see the tears that I shed, so I would be eligible for an Emmy or Grammy or some other form of award. Papa, I don't want to die.
The sweet voice of Artemis broke their sob fest. I was totally going to yell. Hold your boy close. This is not your fault. It's that fucking bitch Aphrodite. She put this all in motion. Don't worry. Your son will live on in a song and the stories these like.
Like these.
Or like these.
Stories like these. And through viewers like you.
Artemis had vanished, and with the dying Hippolytus. Some say she took him for a nice burial, and others say she healed him and let him stay with her in the woods. Either way, Theseus was left alone, and it is assumed, however, that he married later, seeing as how his children would be tied to the future leaders of Athens. Theseus went home and spent the rest of his life uneventfully. He still took parts in politics, but it was there's no really more grand adventures. Many years later.
I like to imagine, too, that when he hit that point in his life, they don't talk about it because he just became, that weird asshole conspiracy theorist in politics.
Well, it brought him down because he was too loyal to a guy that wanted to fucking rape everything.
He came back.
That's weird, dude.
He came back to Athens afterwards, and he was
You're
overweight.
Still an accomplice.
He's middle-aged, overweight, and balding, and all of a sudden he's into conspiracy theories.
Oh, God. Ancient aliens.
Yeah. What if the gods don't exist?
What if it was
That would
aliens?
be a conspiracy theory from back then. What if there's actually only one god and he has a son eventually? I'm just asking questions. Okay, go ahead.
So many years later, the old Theseus went on a senior's cruise, and he went to the court of an old friend, King Lycomedes.
Lycomedes.
And there, his old friend pushed him off the cliff to his death. No real reason, just being a quick dick move. Also, hashtag dick still out. This whole time.
Your dick's still out this whole time. It's funny, too, because I like to think it was one of those where they're both old men, and Lycomedes, like, got married early, and he just spent his life at court, and they're out there talking about it. And fucking Theseus is just out there kind of rubbing in the stuff he did, making him seem like a bitch. Like, some of us actually got out in our life and did real adventures. Did I tell you about the time I killed the Minotaur? Huh? I'm a mighty motherfucker who killed the Minotaur, right? Yeah, nothing could take me down. And then he looks over the cliff and his buddy's just like, I took you down, motherfucker.
Look how easy. So Lycomedes would also later be the one who hides Achilles while he is dressed as a woman.
Ooh.
And oddly, they don't say much about his death or his later life aside from that little tidbit. But it is known, however, that after his death, his legacy of democracy carried on in Athens.
It took off a little bit.
And they erected a huge statue of him in the middle of the town. Hashtags dicks out till infinity. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, democracy, I would say, took off a little bit.
Mm.
And also wrestling. Wrestling and democracy, he kind of scored on those two.
Didn't he give women's right to vote, too?
He probably did.
Yeah, that was that was Athens.
Yeah, then it was probably
That's why Athena won.
Because he had fucking, he had all that shit there going on.
So that had to come after, really.
Yeah. I do like how little they talk about his death, like at all. That's pretty much like his entire death was just pretty much one sentence in one book that talks about his death. Just like, and then he went to visit his friend and got kicked off a cliff.
Yeah, that kind of
like,
stuff. What? That's how I feel like they felt about the Finian saga. He just kind of died. He's just in a hole waiting to be reawoken. Okay.
Yeah,
he just got old. He was done.
Another funny idea would be that was Sparta, and that was the first guy figuring out how to do a Spartan kick. He's just like, I got this new idea, dude. I just want to show it to you real quick. This is Sparta! Oh my god, I just accidentally killed Theseus.
I am Lycomedes!
I am Lycomedes! I didn't mean to do that.
Shit.
I'm sorry. Totally sorry about that. Yeah. And like Kim said, dicks out till infinity. I mean, yeah.
That was how he rolled.
He rolled.
He was the naked king, the OG.
He was the embodiment of rock out with your cock out. And a lot of dudes had their cocks out during the time, but
why cover it?
Theseus especially. Because when you look at, I'll mention that in the future stories, and Hercules and in the Argonauts, among the Argonauts, and a lot of those guys had pants on, and Theseus was still hanging dong.
Cedar's out, guys.
Yeah. So,
Cedar is out.
They're all on the quest for the golden fleece, and Theseus is pretty much like the only dude just dick out on the ship. Let's go, guys! Can you put that away? It's close quarters here. No, this is how I fight. I wear the sandals of my father and carry his sword, and sometimes I put on a helmet and maybe cover one shoulder, but never my small penis. It is my sign of power and pride. And that's also why he was known as the man without fear. Yeah.
Everyone else is afraid of it.
Everyone else is afraid. They're like, dude, you're really going to whip that thing out? What if people say stuff? I have no fear.
What if it gets cut off, bro?
The kid's good. Yeah.
Your wallet's fucking flinging around. Don't worry, it's too small. It doesn't fling very far.
It's too small. I keep it tucked in. It's an illusion. It's 80% foreskin. It's been hit before. They just nipped the foreskin.
It hides between the taint and the butthole.
Yeah. I'm Poseidon's son, so I have the ability to suck it back into myself. Just come at me!
I can make it turn to water.
That's probably how he won 90% of his fights, too. They're standing there getting ready to fight.
Turns
and he just
into a tiny
flexes really hard, and his dick just sucks back up into himself. Just, fight me, Minotaur! Like, oh.
What the fuck was that?
What the fuck just happened?
Jesus. You really got into it.
Yeah.
Minotaur did not like that.
The Minotaur did not like that. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we got references. I'm sorry. I'm fucking jumping the gun.
You're jumping all the guns.
Just fucking throwing shit. But still, also like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, let us know what you think. We love you guys. You're all beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll send out some stickers. Come on.
Yeah. Let us know. Give us comments. Give us shout-outs. Our sources for this episode were GreekMythology.com, Great Greek Myths, an Amazon Prime original. Very fitting, too, I feel like, that Greek Myths would be on Amazon. I'd kind of be pissed if it was on Hulu.
They have amazing shit on there. There's a lot of fucking like college documentaries and shit like that. I watch them a lot. They're fucking awesome. While they're still free right now, Get on there, guys.
Get on it. The book, Mythology, Timeless Tales of Gods and Heroes by Edith Hamilton. 75th anniversary edition, illustrated. And in that book, we reference the works of Ovid, Homer, Apollodorus, Euripides, Sophocles, and Plutarch. Yeah. Those are our sources. Tons of sources, but it's Greek mythology. So if you want to put together a whole story, from what I've found, you need like 30 sources. Because everyone just has a little bit. It'll be like, Ovid wrote about Theseus, but only when he was 35. Because honestly, if you think about it, it's almost like, it was their religion, but it's more comparable to what we do with movies and these days and TV shows and stuff.
Scandalous.
It'd be like Ovid told this story, but he only covered season 3 of Theseus, where he was, a quick story about Theseus when he was 35 years old, and he did this thing.
Oh, yeah, just like every fucking Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
It's made by a different director.
Director, yeah. Ooh, who's making Theseus 3? The Thesening. Oh, that's Apollodorus. He's going to crush this one. Yeah.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, and look forward to more. This is part 3 in our epic O.G.s of Greece saga. We've got at least 3 more parts coming at you guys, so hope you're ready.
Oh yeah, 2 more.
Yeah, no, 3 more.
Yeah,
3 more. We're going to do next week. We will be doing Hercules or Heracles. They're both the same dude, so in case you've ever wondered that. Heracles and Hercules are the same dude. And we are going to be doing Atalanta. She is the fucking... I dig her. She's a bad bitch. She's a mistress of the hunt, they call her. And then we are going to top it off with the fucking Golden Fleece, Quest for the Golden Fleece. Jason and the Argonauts up in this bitch.
Stay tuned every Thursday, guys.
Every Thursday. And remember... #dicks out till infinity. Let's get it trending, people.
Woo.
Woo.
Have a good night.
Good night.